Weirdest god. Still got some Leon, still got some Leon anymore.
Others haven't been seen for years. So in this video, I theorise what actually happened to the character. And when they're like first missing / important character, let's think about the real prisoners who spoke of escape. One of these prisoners being Elytra, the only major player to quit the server. After the Empire, one of the first players to enter the whole server, Zam is revealed after a year hiatus from the server to have been captured by Lord for obvious reasons. Now Spoke breaks Zam and the other prisoners out on one condition. They have to show loyalty to Spoke. Now Zam shows loyalty to Spoke by helping with the This point specifically is eventually forgotten, and Zam just sort of joins making the team's team. But I doubt we'll ever see him again. Not because anything happened to Zam, but because Zam left us team. Brother, I'm not going to do videos anymore. I'll just be honest. They'll never see it's likely because of the I mean, essentially any Minecraft video is completely unrelated to the stable SMP or comments referencing it. So if I print Zam discreetly without a big death or anything, the unstable is less reason to overshadow his actual content with his appearances on the site. So yeah, we're never going to see Zam again. The next four prisoners were Barbara and Fuse. They were imprisoned for trying to flood a bunch of Ender dragons into spawn, which is honestly interesting since they were teamed with Les only a few episodes prior. I guess he's loyal about the law. These two are listed together since they're always a duo, and we have no information on where either one went after Spoke broke them out, but let's be real, they're probably up to some shenanigans. But unlike Wemby and Zam, they didn't show loyalty to Spoke after he broke them out of prison, so maybe Spoke could visit them so he can claim that. Blurfenstein is the last forgotten prisoner, and for an apparently terrible reason, he was captured by Law. Blurfenstein is the only player that Spoke actually leaves behind in the prison, but we recently saw him captured and imprisoned by the Spy Faction. Now that was the last we saw of him, so maybe he got killed in the purge of the caves. I'd honestly love if they revealed what Blurfenstein did. I feel like they obviously won't for comedic value, but if his crimes become a big part of the server's lore and history, that would be just so fun. Anyway, I'm sure you'll see Blurfenstein in another prison cell with his person finding Free Blurfenstein! Now you may think Redstone Geniuses are vital players in their server story, so why has this one been forgotten? Now after his first attack on Parrot, Mr. Cube notably disguised himself as the director. Also, Mr. Cube apparently after the director found Mr. Cube with Parrot, Mr. Cube was willing to risk his life for the director and keeping his identity a secret, and he spoke so incredibly highly of him, he should believe the director absolutely terrified Mr. Cube. So when Mr. Cube ran away, we could see how relieved he was at the director. Now with Mr. Cube, we could assume he escaped to the Farlands or someplace directly behind the director, especially since he's a Redstone genius, so we could easily make one of those Ender Pearl cannons that takes you there. It makes more sense, as especially since someone like the director was a villain only really significant to Parrot. He had literally no impact on the server as a whole, so Mr. Cube isn't likely to hear about the directors. This means he could literally just be chilling at the Farlands, waiting until he's certain that the director won't kill him. Although Mr. Cube hasn't been seen in over a year, whilst 4C, another Redstone genius, is one of the most frequently appearing side characters on the stable, so maybe Mr. Cube's character simply isn't needed in the plot right now. Still, I think we could probably having another familiar face in time would be nice. Okay, so now that we've discussed the prisoners of law, let's move on to some other characters, like the Town Cat, or better known as Killer. Their last and only appearance was in Unstable SMP, The First King, where they ruled over the Treebo village. Also, probably the only one who thought this would be a main fair return. Anyway, Treebo is a large, peaceful, secluded civilization. Now, they're located a lot more important which a lot of people forget. They were
Need
literally
to
the
try
reason
and
Parrot became king. Without their 100 votes, he would have been eliminated in the first. Pity got all the Treebo members to vote for Parrot after him and Theo helped fight against bandits. Now this ties in quite nicely to our next player, Spectre, who links heavily to what may have been to Killer. Now the reason Spectacle counts as a forgotten character is because despite some minor appearances in Season 1, Crow got killed 20 minutes after he got introduced.
Bro,
The chances are you
why
completely
you
forgot
that
his
here,
impact on the server. He was the owl who gave them mysterious and anonymous tips on how to beat letters in the Elytra. One of these was going to the areas more neglected on the server, such as trees. However, Parrot killed the royal guard, so Spectacle takes the blame for it, leading to his public execution. Considering Spectacle was the only reason Parrot even knew about Treebo, Treebo isn't a very popular spot, especially when you consider it being in the Amplified region, which I wouldn't even be surprised if you didn't know what that was. It's such a weird and forgettable place when you consider it's essentially the Farlands, but a lot less interesting. This means we're obviously unlikely to see Spectacle anytime soon, but Pity could potentially appear as a cameo, say if Treebo got burnt down, but I don't see anyone returning to Treebo, let alone the region. In my last installment in the Forgotten Unstable Character series, I talked about the first generation players, or better known as the Orbital characters. These were Serpentbound, Nightingale, and Firestar. Since then, Nightingale and Firestar have appeared when they could be seen defending the orbital cannons from Wembu, but Serpentbound, the leader of the Farlands crew, is still yet to be seen. I'm certain he's still in the Farlands castle, as he was mentioned alongside the Master Key in Wembu, which implies he's still very relevant to the plot, but I'm sure we'll encounter Serpentbound once we discover more about the Forge. Due to the theories of it being the underworld's experiment that can supposedly revive people, Yamato's connections to the underworld soldiers and his green trim support the idea of the Force discussed in the Farlands actually being in the underworld seems very concerning. Also, this is reinforcing the name Serpent Power, which could refer to the Ouroboros snake, an ancient symbol for cynic renewal and rebirth, which of course links to the Forge and the idea of reviving people. And also, the whole Farlands, especially the part when we explore, has a very abstract atmosphere. Meaning something poetic or symbolic like this could be a very fitting attribute to the Farlands eldritch aesthetic. Next up, we have one of the few unstable.
Come on, guys, we're
And two players that were panned for controversy. This one being Marlow. Yeah, well, honestly, not too informed on the whole Marlow situation, but I'm aware the main fan of Marlow is the top one rated Minecraft player, or at least she was. And people think she's hacking and manipulating people, but I'm sure you already knew that. Either way, regardless if they're innocent, a player this controversial is just not worth risking their reputation by making them return to another video. I honestly like the concept of her being the ghost of the Mafia, but I doubt we'll see anything about the Mafia too. But again, despite it being such a sick build, and a really huge build, I really don't know how I thought the Northern Council was bigger than this guy. Thanks for educating me, Horus. Marlow would need a serious comeback. Undeniable proof they're innocent of all accusations and acceptance all across the scene again before this any of her or the tomb return. Now, my last installment in the Forgotten Character series, which you should definitely check out after the video, Planet Lord was the most suggested missing character. However, after over a year, Planet Lord finally returned in a recent spoken. He said he was, and I quote, chilling
bro, why
in
the
the
heck did it
Farlands
sign
in
me
a
out?
tower. The most
My
Planet Lord.
account, bro. Why did it sign me
Yeah,
out
no
my
idea how
account?
he got there,
I don't
especially
like
considering
that.
how deep in the Farlands he was. But yeah, also just for a second, think about the Farlands. They're literally infinite, I'm pretty sure, so the chance of Spoke and Planet Lord running into each other, considering literally all the circumstances, is astronomically low. I have a feeling this unstable SMP might be scripted. Anyway, we see Planet Lord get captured by Null, but the interesting thing is he wasn't in Purgatory or anything else when they were done. So that begs the question, where is he? Well, he wasn't at least seen. The prison has so much depth and it's incredibly convoluted, especially since Yamato exposed manipulation of each other makes everything just less certain. And Planet Lord wasn't in it at all, which suggests he may have passed. Our next missing character is related to Sarge Law, which may surprise you as he is by no means a missing or forgotten character. In fact, I would argue he's one of the most famous stable universe mode characters, and of course the best Keen Team Minecarter in all of Minecraft. However, once you consider his motto of avenging his brother, you'll probably realize you completely forgot that his motives were about the real player. Yes, Sarge Law's brother actually existed, which many of you likely forgot. His brother was called Sarge Ratsby. When he killed Sarge Ratsby, causing Ratsby's position in the law to be passed down to Sarge Law. Now, Sarge Ratsby was actually growing quite close with Wembley and the other prisoners, despite him being in prison, which makes his death even more horrible. However, Sarge is slowly forgiving the people that killed his brother and took to law. Because of Raxby, he turned from a joke character to a character of actual depth. And since it would be honestly wasted potential to kill off a character that's only just started developing, I'm sure we'll keep seeing Sarge Law in the future. Thanks for watching. Are there any forgotten characters that I didn't include? Make sure to comment down below. screen is a video of mine YouTuber specifically put out just for you.
Played way too much Legend of Zelda today.